During a high school class project, my teacher told me it's unrealistic being a CEO. It's been my dream to be a CEO since I was 10, so I told her it is realistic. Follow me on my journey to learn what it takes to become a CEO. Hey guys, so welcome to another episode of Realistic CEO Podcast. Today I'm here with Gary Rome. Hi Gary, how are you doing today?
Excellent, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Thank you for allowing me to interview you today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a long couple months of me doing some interviews, so I'm really happy that I'm able to interview you today. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is some advice that you can give to a teenager like me to become a CEO one day?
Well, there's a couple things. I gave you that piece of paper over there, and it comes from a book called The Four Agreements, and it's just, it's kind of the basis for the way I live my life. But the first one is be impeccable with your word. So, and my father always taught me, he says, your word is your bond. Back in the day, they didn't have you sign anything. If you shook somebody's hand, that was good enough. So if I'm impeccable with my word, people will trust me, and people will believe in me, and people will want to follow me. So that's the first one. And the second one is, don't take anything personally. And what I mean by that is, people do things and say things sometimes that they don't mean, and I have no idea what's going on in their lives, right? So if somebody is upset or they're yelling, they're not necessarily yelling at me, they're yelling at the situation. So I try not to take, it's hard, but I try not to take everything or anything personally. And then the other one is, don't make any assumptions. So I'll give you a example that applies to the car business. Back in the day, people were very judgmental of people when they came in, and they would judge people the way they were dressed. That person can't afford a car, or this person can't afford a car. Or back in the day, some salespeople would say to a woman, they would say, well, why don't you go home and get your husband and then come back, and then we could talk about buying a car. Well, obviously, that's the wrong thing to do. So I try not to make any assumptions about anybody, and I try to be a very good listener. My father told me something that I'll remember forever. He says, you have 2 ears and 2 eyes. So take the cotton out of your ears and stick it in your mouth. You should listen twice as much as you speak. So it's very, poignant. If I listen, people appreciate that. And if I ask you questions about you, people appreciate that as opposed to me talking about me. It's just more about, I'm interested in you. And the last one is always do your best. Just do the best I can at everything. And that's as good as it gets. So those are a couple of things that your recommendations, suggestions that I can give you to live your life, to be a good CEO, to be a good person. Also, when we did the tour of the dealership, I didn't point out to you, but right behind you are our core values. And our core values are on the wall. They're also in our manual. This manual is why you'd want to join our family. So in the manual, we have our core values. So up there on the wall are our core values. We always have fun. We deliver what we promise. And we genuinely care about our customers. And then the main thing is we do the next right thing. So, we just always want to be doing the right thing. So those are our core values. And that's some of the things that we live by. And we have them up on the wall so that we can hold each other accountable and so that our clients can hold us accountable.
Okay, so from these 4 phrases, you said, don't take anything personally, and you said it's hard. So how are you able to make sure that you don't take anything personally?
Work, patience, and pausing before I respond, because I don't want to, have a reaction to something. I want to respond to it. So if I think about it, then my response will be more well-crafted, and I'll be able to not take things. It's hard. It's really hard, but it's part of what we need to do in a customer service business. It's all about customer service. You can buy your car and have your car serviced anywhere, but people come here because they want to be around, like you were referring to before, they want to be around like-minded people, and they want to be around people that they like and people that care about them.
Okay, so when I was doing research about you, it said that you were you wanted to always be with your dad at his work at 9 years old when he was running his own car dealership. So how was that able to inspire you to be where you are today?
Well, I really looked up to my dad. I still do. And so I wanted to be around him, and I wanted to learn from him, and I wanted to see what he did. So I was always around him. And in fact, when I was I started out as a young age, 9, I would come and clean cars and move cars around. I started driving when I was 11 years old. He taught me how to drive. But what I wanted to do is I always wanted to be with him so that sometimes he would try to sneak out in the morning on Saturday and I would like tackle him in the hallway. I'm like, come on, you're going to take me too, right? So I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot by listening,
So why is listening important to you? Like as you said before, you said you're supposed to listen. That's twice as much as you speak. So why is listening important to you?
Because people will tell you what they're coming from and what they're thinking if you listen to them. Mm-hmm. And if I interrupt them and pretend, well, I know what you're going to say anyway, so I'm going to interrupt you, then it doesn't give people a chance to really explain why they're interested and why they're here and how you can help them.
Okay, so I want to know a couple of things about you because like it seems like you're very like caring and always you're caring about what the people like around you, like how they feel. Because when you're giving us the tour, I seen every single person, no matter who they were, you always just like waving, saying hi, and making sure that they're okay. So like, how are you able to keep that mindset throughout the day?
My dad did tell me, it also sounds cliche, but Gary, it doesn't cost any extra to be nice. And we are what we think about. You've heard of that book called The Secret or whatever, that the world is conspiring, the universe is conspiring to help us succeed. We are what we think about. And the example that I refer to often, we could talk about it later offline, but is I always get a front row spot. Well, why is it I always get a front row spot? Because I'm always looking for the front row spot. I may need to drive around 5 times, but I'm going to find that front row spot. So I know we are what we think about. So if I think about negative things will be attracted to me. But if I think about positive things will be attracted to me. So if I'm nice to people, and like if I smile at you, you can't help but smile back, right? So why not offer that to people and they'll smile back? Yeah, so that's one of the things that I believe in. I'm also an eternal, like crazy optimist. If you tell me there's a 70% chance of rain, I don't even hear you. I only hear that there's a 30% chance of sun. And that's kind of, so we're always looking at the bright side of things. And I'll tell you one other thing that I do. I know some of my friends, I've got a group of friends that we do this, but every single day we make a gratitude list. So this gratitude list, sometimes 8 items, sometimes 10 items, sometimes whatever. But those are the things that I think about. So I'm thinking about those things. I'm setting an intention for my day, right? I'm starting off on the right foot. I'm starting off thinking about things that I'm really grateful for. So there's not a lot of room for, I'm complaining about stuff because I'm thinking about things that I'm grateful for. So that helps a lot. It just, I guess the other thing is enthusiasm is contagious. So if you have enthusiasm, you'll attract enthusiasm and people will appreciate that.
Okay, so also another thing I noticed when you're taking a tour, that everything that you're doing has a purpose behind it. Like honestly, like when we were taking a tour, I couldn't even like speak because like I was just shocked like about how like thought out everything that you have is. Like, how are you able to come up with these ideas?
Well, I've got a great team, so I like to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, and that way they can bring their ideas as well. So we did a lot of collaboration. We went and visited a lot of different dealerships. We visited over 20 car washes when we built our car wash just to see what they were doing. And we asked them, what would you do differently? What did you do right? What did you do wrong? So we're trying to, there's a lot of areas that we could be a little bit more efficient here, but we try to make it as efficient as possible so that we don't waste a lot of time.
How are you able to build a good team to be able to do what you're doing here?
Well, 2 ways. We try to attract people, but more than the most successful effort we've had is just promoting people from within. So we have, for example, my COO, my Chief Operating Officer. He actually lives in Florida now. He still works for me, but he's worked for me for 22 years. He started out in the parts department. Then he worked his way into operations. Then he worked his way as a sales manager. Then he became the general manager. And then he decided that he wanted to move to Florida. So now he works from afar and he keeps an eye. So he manages the Kia dealership, the Hyundai dealership, and the car wash. We talk all the time. We collaborate all the time. But having him work from afar, he's kind of like the wizard behind the curtain, so to speak. So now he gives him an opportunity to really focus on some of the other details that he was not able to focus on because he was dealing with the day-to-day interaction of customers.
So you said you visited 20 car washes. How are you able to network with other car washes without them feeling threatened by you?
Well, they're not in our market, so I didn't. We did visit the car washes in our market. We took video so we could build our car wash and make it better than any other car wash in the area and have more equipment, have more brushes, have foam brushes that won't scratch your car like we talked about, more dryers, that cool buffing wheel that we had in. But we went out of the market and we visited other car washes outside the area.
So when you were looking to buy the Kia dealership, why did you pick that dealership, like instead of maybe buying another Honda dealership? What was that thought process like?
Well, the Hyundai dealership, Hyundai came to me 27 years ago and asked me to be a dealer. And at that time, the Hyundai and the Kia brand were really disposable cars. I mean, their quality was not great. But the reason I picked Kia to answer your question is because I knew that if Kia is going to be like Hyundai, that it's going to be successful. And Hyundai owns almost 40% of Kia. So, yeah, that's why.
How do you handle things when they don't go as planned?
Well, I pause and we think about it. And I kind of think, like you heard of WD-40?
Yeah.
You know why it's called WD-40?
No.
Because they created and they finished the process after their 40th attempt. So, I just think sometimes we don't get it right all the time. And we can't go off the rails and can't overreact. We just have to look at it as a learning opportunity, right? So we have to take it and try to turn it around and do it as a learning opportunity so that it doesn't happen that way next time.
How many times have you failed to where you had to maybe tweak something that you didn't like?
I fail every day. I fail all the time because I'm really reaching for the stars and I want to be the best, and I just can't be the best without failing.
So how are you able to keep on going even though you are failing every day?
I have a lot of drive. I have a lot of energy, and I'm continuously just go. I love. The other thing is that I love what I do, so I don't think that it's work for me. I really, even when I'm not working, I'm working, and I'm a little bit crazy because sometimes I can't wait to go to bed on Sunday night so I can wake up Monday morning and go to work.
Tomorrow.
How are you able to go from a general manager to owning your own dealership?
I had a good teacher, my father, and what happened was in 1997 when Hyundai came to me and asked me to be a dealer, my father was in the process of building a new dealership on Riverdale Street, Jerry Rum Nissan over there. So I rented the building and then eventually bought it from my father. So I had a place to start, but I had such a great teacher that I was able to open up my own dealership, and with his support, and then with all the goodwill, right, that we had generated in the community, people knew that I was not Jerry, I was Gary, although he named me Gary, and it sounds like Jerry, so he probably did that but for a reason. But anyway, I was able to really grow my business because they said, well, I had a great experience at Jerry Rome, so I'll probably have a good experience. And then one thing that really jump-started it was the dog. So I had the Jack Russell Terrier buddy that I was telling you about. So we really branded ourselves as a dog-friendly place, and dogs are in our ads, they're in our marketing, they're in our billboards, they're everywhere. So people can identify with the dog, and they think, well, there's a lot of dog people that love dogs, but they also figure that if you have a dog and you bring your dogs to work every day, you're probably a pretty cool place to buy a car, and you probably treat us as well as you treat your dogs. Mm-hmm. So that was a really big thing. People think of, I'll be walking down the street with the dogs. There he is. Want to shake that? No, not you, the dog.
So it seems like you're very you love animals. How is that? What's the origin behind that?
I think that just animals are great, and sometimes they're better than people, and it's very in our workplace. It's very comforting. You see that they have a lot of therapy dogs or comfort dogs. It's just very comforting. Like you met Daisy before. Mm-hmm. She's in the office with the 11 or the 12 women that work in that office. It's very calming for them. And people, they come in and they literally say they will not buy a car until they meet the dogs. So, hold on, I'll be right back. So, I'll bring the dog out. And or the dogs, and they'll start petting the dogs. And I said, it works 100% of the time. I said, what's that? I said, everybody who pets the dog buys a car. And they're like, ah. I said, too late. You're buying a car. Just pick out the car you want.
So I noticed that you like to give back to the community by like doing charity events and things like that. And you also said that you like to make sure that your employees are involved. Why is that?
Well, it's important that we include our employees. I mentioned before that we have a very vibrant corporate culture. This is the manual that we have here, which I alluded to before, which is why you'd want to join our family. And in here are a whole calendar of events of things that we do every single month. So we engage the community, and we pick initiatives that are important to our team so that they're well invested in this. So a lot of people will do things on their own time to support these charities. So we want to do things that they're interested in, whether it be the food bank or Ronald McDonald House or Rays of Hope for breast cancer or Holyoke Community College or Holyoke Medical Center. We have last year we were involved in almost 26 different initiatives. So we'll do things. It's we'll give money to our employees and say, go out and do something nice for somebody. So they'll go out and they'll buy gift cards for the crossing guards for Dunkin' Donuts and just go pass them out. And not only does it feels good for them to do that, but also we can kind of become like a power of example for other people out there. So maybe they'll pay it forward, or they'll do nice things for people.
So what are things that I can learn to like become a better leader? Because it seems like you're a great leader the way that you're able to keep the environment positive like throughout the day. So.
I think you're right on track when you're telling me about that story that you wrote with your dad. It's about being around people that help you grow. So you want to be around smart people that have done this before. And then what's happening now with your dad is he's mentoring you. So he's showing you this knowledge that he's learned over his life. And now you're at an age where you're willing to listen. When you're a little bit younger, like, I know, I can do it on my own. Well, you don't have to do it on your own. You've got someone that can show you how to do that.
So for the people that don't have somebody, how are they able to develop their skills?
They could intern. They could go through, workforce development, or they could do something and they can go work at a company where they agree with their core values and they want to be a part of that. So we have several people that work here now, came here, as part of a summer intern program, or they worked here for just a short time and then they went back to college, and then they graduated college and came back to work here full time.
So the people that are here for a short time, do they normally stay because of like how you treat them, or just because they like their job?
Well, they earn a great wage and they work for a company that really supports them. So I think that's one of the things. And I mentioned earlier when we were in the other room in the delivery bay, I said, we spend more time with the people we work with. So we need to treat them more like family than our actual family. So we do everything from, we do newsletters. So in the newsletters, we recognize people for their different achievements. We have Employee of the Month. We have Employee of the Year. We have an Employee Appreciation Party. We do all those things together. We create this newsletter. The newsletter is digital, but we also mail a copy of it to everybody to their home so their spouses and significant others can see what they do. So we involve everybody. I mentioned earlier, we also write birthday cards, handwritten birthday cards. We do handwritten anniversary cards. So it's Charlene's 13th anniversary. So we wrote her a card, and we also recognize people for big life events that happen. So we know what's happening. If you got married, we would write you a card and we would give you a gift card. If you bought a house, we would do the same thing. If you had a death in the family, we would recognize that as well with a sympathy card. So we do that stuff. I mean, a lot of these things are things they don't get in their own family at home. So we do that to keep people engaged so they want to stay here and they want to work here and they're not thinking of ever leaving.
What would you say is like a important thing to learn, like when you're trying to get into owning your own car dealership?
Well, you have to learn everything about the dealership. So when I graduated from college, I went to a school called NADA, National Automobile Dealers Association Dealer Candidate School. So what I did was I went and learned in 1 week chunks throughout the course of the year, and I worked in different departments. So I wanted to, I won't know everything. Technology, things are changing so rapidly. I'm not going to know everything, but I wanted to know and work in each different department so I would know what happens there, right?
So with learning things in different departments, would you say that has increased your knowledge inside your own business as well?
Yeah, you have to continue to be a student all the time, learning. If you don't grow, you go, right? So I need to continue. I shouldn't say I need to. I get to continue to learn and learn new ideas, and be involved. And there's all sorts of groups that you can be around, people that can share their best practices. So you want to be around people like that.
How are you able to find those people to be around?
Each industry probably has something like that. In our industry, it's called the 20 group. So they meet 3, sometimes 4 times a year. And then every month we collaborate with a composite and we compare our performance to their performance. And then we'll get together and we'll share best ideas, and there'll be a moderator or a facilitator that'll help us learn while we're together.
How are you able to network with other people to grow your business?
I'm active, like your dad, on social media, right? So I'm active on LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And we do that. Now, my father would say something like, "What are you telling anybody what's going on? Why are you on social media?" I said, "Dad, people like to be around and want to be friends with like-minded people. So when you share things like that, people are happy for you. They congratulate you. So we do a lot of that. And I will tell you that I've sold many, 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 many cars to people that I never even knew that reached out to me on social media because of what we do, or the fact that we share, when someone buys a car, we share that photo in the delivery bay, and people see that your dad bought a car for me, and this picture with his salesperson, and in the text we'll say, if you want to buy a car, reach out to so-and-so. They do that because Michael bought a car, so I should buy a car. Look at that cool car that Michael bought, and look where he got it. So we're involved in networking for sure. We also are active with the Chamber of Commerce. So we are active with the Holyoke, the Westfield, the Northern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce. We're active in doing things with them. And then a lot of our charity work, we're around like-minded people, right? So around people that get it.
So when you're doing charity work, like what is like your main like goal behind the charities that you're supporting?
We want to help other people and make a difference in the community. So that's my main goal. What happens sometimes as a result of it is people say, well, I could have bought my car anywhere, but Gary, I came here to buy a car from you because of all you do for the community. We hear that over and over and over again, which is nice. It makes me feel good, but that's not why we did it. That's just what happens, accumulation over time.
So your kindness equals like makes them think that, oh, I want to do business with this guy because he treated me right when he didn't even have to. It's like now I want to make sure that he understands that I appreciate what he has done for me like that.
Yeah, I mean absolutely something like that. I mean, if I'm working with Rays of Hope or working with the Ronald McDonald House or Holyoke Community College or any of the other initiatives that we're working with like-minded people that want to be around us. When we did our event at Fountain Park in Wilbraham for Thomas J. O'Connor to raise money for them on May 5th, there was 330 runners and dogs that were there at that event. And Nick Kochi was there. We had 450 people there that were there to support animals. So
how are you able to develop the skills to be able to like just be yourself around other people?
It came slowly. I was really nervous at the beginning, and I want to make sure I said the right thing. But I think that I know that it came easier as I became a better listener, because if I thought I had to say a specific thing, that I might get nervous. But when I'm listening to what people are saying, and it just allowed me to form better relationships with people.
So how are you able to do that while because you're like such a big guy now? I feel like I'm actually really shocked that you said yes to interview me because I'm meant to be on my podcast because how big you are. Oh. So how are you able to help people like me get to where they're going?
Well, it makes a difference, and it is inspiring and gratifying for me. For example, when we were down in the car wash and the timeline wall, I showed you that we gave away our first car in 2010 to a Holyoke High School senior, and it was really inspiring. For me, she came back and she bought another car for me, and she gave the car to her sister, and they're both teachers. And then at that time, the runners-up, we gave them a $100 gift card. And then this woman came in, I don't know how many years later, it might have been 8 years later or something. And she said, I didn't win the car, but I was the runner-up. And you gave me that $100 gift card, and I used it to pay for part of my laptop when I was going to college. So it's nice, feels good to be able to do that for people.
I got a couple more questions for you. So for this question, I just wanted to be like, what's something that not many people really know about you that you enjoy to do?
I don't know. I'm pretty active on social media. I think people know a lot about me. Let's see. I love spending time with my family, but I also like to take care of my mind and my body. So I like to work out a lot. And after our interview today, I'm going to go with some friends. We go and we hike Mount Tom. And then we go to the B-17 Memorial up there at the top of the mountain, and we do this workout. It's called a deck of cards. So we literally do an entire deck of cards of different exercises and everything, and then we hike back. So that's kind of a thing that we do that keeps my mind fresh, and also you learn a lot when you talk to people for a few miles in the woods, right? So it gives us time to get away from it all. And
how are you able to separate business with family, like to have like a balance?
It's difficult because I love to work so much, but I try to do a couple things with my family. Of course, is spend time with them, but I try to be prepared to interact with my family after being at work all day and go, and then to go home and spend time with my family. What I tried doing, which I'm not perfect at, but I'm working at, is to put the phone down and to not talk for the 20 minutes on the way home. So I'm better prepared to be, because having a family, I need to, or I get to put as much energy and enthusiasm as to being a family man, as opposed to in addition to working. So you got to really have to be on task for that. So it's because when you'll know this, because I'm sure your dad's told you over time, but when I come home, my kids want me right now. They don't want me for the entire evening. They just want me for 5 minutes when I first get there. So I need to be on, when I come home for my family as much as I'm on when I'm talking to you.
So throughout the years, how are you able to get better at that? Because you probably weren't like the best like at bouncing in the beginning. How were you able to develop that?
It's work, and it's also being around people that remind me. I think one of the things that I like about my friends that I have is I've got several friends that offer accountability, because I can't do it on my own, so I like to have accountability. So I tell people, what my goals are. And I also have a life coach and a business coach. It's the same person. And I've been working with her for almost 8 years now. And we meet monthly, twice a month, not in person as much anymore, and then we talk about what the goals are, what the roadblocks are, what's getting in my way, where might I be stuck. And we meet and we do 6 months. So we'll set the goals at the beginning of the year. We'll look at them at 6 months. We'll look at them again at the end of 12 months. And when we set the goals, we'll talk about, if you're standing here a year from now and you're looking back, what would success in that area look like, right? So I'm very specific. So we put them down on paper, and then I review them with her.
So you are always talking about your team. Why is building a great team important to you?
Because I can't do it. I can't do it on my own. I shouldn't do it on my own. And as a manager, as a CEO, I should only do the things that no one else can do. I should empower my team and give them the authority and delegate so they can do what they do, and then I can do what I do.
So throughout the years, how are you able to make sure that your employees know that they feel appreciated?
I'm always available. I've got an open door policy. I'm very active. Not many owners, go to work every day and are available and talk and interact with our team. So I just want to let them know that I'm here for them, and they can talk to me about anything.
How has that helped the environment in the workplace?
That helps a lot because of communication. Because a lot of times failures occur because of a lack of communication, a lack of proper communication. Everybody's in such a rush all the time that they don't communicate well, and then it builds up resentments. And these resentments get fueled by, when people have a resentment, they're going to hear you the way that they want to hear you to feed their resentment. And it could have nothing to do with me, and you didn't even mean that, and it has nothing to do. So we just have to have better communication and spend more time talking to each other.
So you said everybody's always in a rush. How are you able to slow it down so that doesn't happen?
We in the service department, we have a huddle every morning So they'll have a huddle before they start working, and they'll talk about what's in front of us for today. What do we do well? What are we going to do in the future? You know, what do we have in front of us? So we slow down and we have meetings to talk about that.
So being in the service business, like what is like something that's like the most important thing that you should keep in mind when you're working with clients?
Well, I mentioned earlier, but now we'll record it, is when people come in for service, they're not happy to be there because even if it's free, they just don't want to dedicate. So what we think about is set a realistic expectation and make sure you can fulfill that expectation and that commitment to the client, because what's most important to people today, because we're always in a rush, is time. Like the time is the most important thing. I would be okay with leaving my car with you if I just knew that you know it wasn't going to be ready. It's fine, but I need to plan, because people plan every 15 minutes. Everything's just. You know.
So the final question I'm going to ask you is, from being a 9-year-old kid who always wants to go to work with your dad to owning your own dealership, what has like been the most like thing that you feel the most accomplished about throughout your journey?
Well, one of the biggest accomplishment was being recognized as Time Magazine's Dealer of the Year last year, which was really powerful for me. We were at the convention in Dallas. There was 3,000 people in the auditorium, red carpets everywhere, and I was selected. Each state had a representative, so there was 48 people there from all over the country, and they had been selected by their local association. So we were all there. And I had no idea that they knew because they printed the magazine. It was already printed, but I didn't know that. Other people knew that I won, but I didn't know that I won. So just to be recognized for all that and to be singled out as to 1 out of 16,000 was really one of the biggest accomplishments, to be recognized for that. And our team was just so proud to be part of that.
Thank you for being able to spend time out of your day to answer some of my questions and help me become a CEO in the future. I really thank you.
You're welcome.